And sort of, oh, hey.
And there we go. Hey, all right. It's hello, folks. It took a little bit of fandangling, but we're actually on the air right now. My name is Greg,
Oh, and I'm your interim co-host, David.
and we are the 4040 Men. I will have to revert to North American accent for that because I get made fun of the way I say 40 regularly. So
I thought you were saying that we were the farty men.
no,
Okay.
no. What we are is we are a baseball podcast, predominantly Blue Jays, but anything good in baseball. Stuck in China. We will be introducing a segment, in future weeks of where is Jeff, and let's wake up Jeff, because right now it's probably 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, so he will be asleep.
Yeah. So I'm your interim co-host, and yes, as Greg has said, my expertise is in basketball, and truly very, very, very little about baseball, and so I'm here to learn.
And he has the golden voice, so that's why we have to let him.
I'm here to be taught. So I'm here to ask questions, and by the time we're done, by the time the season is over, I hope to know something about baseball.
We'll start things off. It's opening weekend in baseball. The Jays. A lot of these sports pundits were predicting the Jays to finish third or fourth this season. Everyone was excited about the Yankees' additions through the batting lineup. Boston, won the division last year, but flamed out in the playoffs. I actually hold out a hell of a lot more hope than most people, and I think the Jays will do a lot better than they will. And here's the reason why. Everyone listen, folks.
All right.
You're going to get the tools of wisdom from the fat guy in the chair.
This is my first tool of wisdom. I'm going to be writing it down.
Tool of wisdom. And here's why. The Jays actually led the league last year in a dubious category of the most games missed and most injuries, like most injured players. So we were an older team last year. We had a lot, Tulo, played half a season. Sanchez, who's usually good for, a good amount of games, played 10, and didn't really struggled in most of those. Our entire pitching staff got decimated. Our middle of our lineup, and any rookie that came up, they lasted a game or two and then remarkably got injured. Like one guy even, Ciani, blew his shoulder out hitting a home run. Like that's how bad our luck was last year.
I heard that at one point in time we had something like $82 million worth of injuries, which is basically the Oakland Athletics, as I've learned.
Yes.
So the entirety of the Oakland Athletics in terms of money was injured last year.
But here's why the Jays will do better. Sure, the Yankees have a monstrous batting lineup, but they've got two pitchers. Two starters. Their bullpen is apparently the fortress of their franchise. Yet we exposed that in games 3 and 4. Betances and Chapman, they're going to win games for them. They're going to shut down games. But there was a chink in the armor, and we sort of exposed that. Boston, they're gonna do well. But both of these teams have rookie managers. So in the dog days in the middle of the year, when things are sort of not going their way, are the managers going to be able to sort of bring all these guys in line? Specifically, the Yankees too. The Yankees, they're young kids, and that's a good thing for Aaron Boone. But they're giant,
right?
Like it's imposing.
That's the thing. Like I've recognized almost all the names that you've said to me. So I was looking at like headlines from opening day and whatever, and I see this thing that says Stanton's monster debut.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just like looking into it, and apparently I guess he had said that this hitting lineup is going to make people feel sorry for the baseball. baseballs.
Oh yeah.
Just those poor baseballs that are just going to get whacked all over the place. And I saw an odd stat from that day that Stanton, one of his two home runs,
5 RBIs in the day as well. Yeah.
which I guess is great.
Mhm.
The one of his two home runs was, this is an odd stat, the hardest hit opposite field home run since Major League Baseball began tracking exit velocity in 2015.
Yeah.
The fastest, the hardest, and it was measured leaving the stadium, or at least over that wall,
Mhm.
at 117.3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Which I checked is just about as fast as the third fastest bird in the world. Because you've got the number one, you have the peregrine falcon, go
Okay.
Falcons,
Go Falcons.
and then you've got the golden eagle, go Eagles,
Cool.
and then you have the third fastest, which is the white-throated needle-tail swift,
Ooh.
go Swifts.
So-
And so that was as fast. That ball was going as fast as a needle-throated
White
needle-tail swift, white swift.
White Swift.
I have forgotten the name of the third fastest bird in the world, which I guess is fast. So these people are a force to be reckoned
Well,
with.
this is the thing. Like in the past 10 years, actually, Stan's had an 8-year career. But I mean, in the past 10 years, the 20 furthest home runs that have been hit,
Yeah.
There's 10 of them by these two guys, by Judge and by Stanton. And Stanton's played for a while, but I mean, he's hit balls playing in Miami. Like he's hit balls out of Dodger Stadium,
Right.
like literally out of Dodger Stadium. And Judge has only really had a full year. He had a little bit of a year 2 years ago, which he was horrific.
Yeah.
But it was crushing home runs last year. I mean, he got 52 last year. Stanton got 59, went away from 60. But these guys have 10 of the 20 furthest hit home runs. So they are going to they're 6, 7, and 6, 8. Like they're ridiculously huge.
They're just enormous.
Yeah.
They could be basketball players.
Well, Stanton was a 3-sport athlete. He actually, baseball was his worst sport.
Hmm.
He was a football player. He was a power forward, and he only one of the things he grew up in California, and his baseball players in California, they play year round because they can, right? And because he played 3 sports, he actually concentrated more on football and basketball, and baseball was just sort of something to do in the summer. And it wasn't until there was and he was sort of unnoticed by a lot of scouts until there was sort of an open casting. It's like I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it's like a Long Beach, California. They have all the high school kids come out, and then he just started smacking the hell out of balls. So there was one that left the stadium and went over the treetops up a hill, and that's when scouts went, "Oh, who's this guy?"
So it's Bo Jackson, and I'm going to call him Mr. Stanton.
Mr.
What's his-
Yeah, because he was Mike, and then now he goes by Giancarlo.
Okay.
But yeah, Giancarlo, white-throated thrush.
White-throated needle-tail swift.
Needle-tail swift.
As fast as that, he's working on the
Yeah.
peregrine falcon.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to happen. I'm sure we're going to get back to the Jays because this is what this podcast is about. But as someone who's new to watching these games, I would be so much better informed if the Yankees had the names on the back of their jerseys.
It's a pride of theirs. Right?
I think I heard that. I heard that it is a pride thing, but but now I think it's just arrogance. It's like because it's like, oh, don't you know this guy who just came out of the bullpen? Yeah, he's Taylor Fastenq. Taylor Fastenq. He's got a 3.5 BLT. I'm gonna learn.
It's okay.
I'm going to learn these
This
stats.
is podcast one for Dave, so this is great. I mean, the Yankees have always stuck with no names on the back. The Yankees actually were the first team to put numbers on the back to identify the players, because back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the stadiums were small, so you could actually recognize the players by their faces, and they were actually the first ones to put numbers on. So they were the first ones to say, like, "Hey, I know this guy," and then they've just sort of stuck with the no name.
I stand corrected. They were the first people to put the numbers on, and that makes them okay.
But now they're just douchebags.
Except we hate the Yankees.
Totally.
So I guess so I just want to continue on with opening day and just a little bit more trivia, because I feel like that's just what I'm going to be doing. Is learning trivia and stats and stuff.
That's the best part.
So I have a question for you. Do you know what the longest opening day game in Major League Baseball history was?
I do not know.
It happened not all that long ago. It was 2012, April 5th,
Okay.
and it was us. It was the Jays.
Okay.
It was the Jays against Cleveland Indians. It was in Cleveland, and Jays won that game 7-4 in 16 innings off a home run by
I actually do remember that. I didn't know that was the longest game.
It was 16 innings, and it was 5 hours and 14 minutes long.
That's how long it took us to set up today.
That is a long game. That's not only is that as long as it took us to set up today. That's like a 21-pound turkey. I could roast a 21-pound turkey in the time, and people stayed. Like, it's opening day, right? So they had a huge attendance. It was like 45,000 people over in Cleveland, and apparently it lingered. There were basically a few thousand in the end. But these are people, they have jobs and stuff. And Greg will eventually learn that he needs to silence his cell phone when we start the podcast.
It's the pirate virus from Archer. It's funny.
If I know nothing about baseball, I think I know a little bit about. Actually, I don't know anything about anything. Okay, so that was opening
day. Obviously, I was at the opening day game.
You were. How was
it? Yes, it was awesome. Awesome to watch because there was it was sad as well. I mean, I had a little bit of a tear in my eye because they were honoring Roy Halladay, who died tragically in a plane crash this year. I mean, like, Roy was a Jay legend. He played for the club for 12 years, and a lot of Jay fans sort of have a soft spot for Philadelphia because when he left, he went to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And he pitched a perfect game and a no-hitter in the same season, and pitched a no-hitter in the playoffs for the Phillies. So he's beloved in Philly as well. Came back, signed a one-day contract so he could retire as a Jay. And has mentored many of the Jays younger pitchers right now, like literally giving them this. And this is a guy that was a first round pick. His first exposure into baseball, into the major leagues, he had a no hitter into the 8th or 9th, I believe. And like, everyone was like, awesome. But then he sort of lost his stuff and got dropped all the way down to A ball, and then fought his way back up. So he's a total success story based on the fact that he had the stuff, he lost it, and then he found it again, and he did it the right way. Like, this was, coming off the heels of, the steroid era, because we had Clemens, we had Canseco, Sean Green was sort of rumored to have it. Toronto's history is not clean, but because of that, they've actually been, clamping down on things. I mean, even Colabello just a couple of years ago sort of failed a drug test. But yeah, they brought back some old Jays, some names from the past like Pat Henkin, Chris Carpenter. It was good to see him. Spoljaric, Cito got one of the biggest applauds of the night because he came out, and they brought out kids that he's helped along the way because him and his wife were very prominent in the community. It was you cried. Like,
that's pretty amazing. Yeah, and so that was all to honor Halladay.
Yeah, and they're rocking the number 32 on the arm.
Is that going to be all season? Are they going to be doing that?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty excellent. It's an absolute tragedy, but must have been like just that you probably could have heard a pin drop.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like they actually did a pretty good video tribute. They showed a good sort of journey through his life, and they had his kids there. His his two sons play baseball. Like, his one son, Braden, actually is a pitcher on the Canadian junior team as well. And the last one of the tune-up games for the during spring training, the Jays actually had a split squad that played against the Canadian junior team, and so you had some of the. It was actually amazing to see because there was so many legacies involved in that. Like, Halladay's kid pitched. Braden he went at 3 up, 3 down inning. Everyone's excited about Vladdy Jr., Vlad Guerrero's, who's, the number 3 prospect in all of baseball. Bo Bichette, who's Dante Bichette's kid, who's, our on our farm system as well. And these 2 kids are coming up. You've got Kevin Biggio. You'll eventually have Cody Clemens.
So this season is like the Degrassi, the next generation.
Well, they're going to
Star Trek, the next generation.
They're going to be at the Lug. Well, they were at the Fisher Cast last year. They're going to be at the Lug Nuts. They'll be coming up. So, we'll do the report of what I like to call the family pack.
Yeah.
All the kids that are coming up, because everyone's excited about that. And I mean, you should get excited about the Jays this year too, though, because back to the big club. Like, if they stay healthy, they're gonna be a contender. They're gonna be a contender, and that's what I think.
Well, okay, so which leads me to the our competition, whatever, and sadly that may bring us back to the Yankees. I just was wondering like how like with this sort of stacked team, how well are they going to be doing this year?
Well, here's the thing: is the Yankees are going to strike out a lot, and here's why. Because Stanton and Judge, and Sanchez for that, they're big. They're big dudes. The ball is still the same size. The bat is still the same size. Their strike zone is much larger.
So we're talking about relative growth you have.
But that's the thing. It's like,
but like then why hasn't a team just stacked people with players that are all 4'11"?
No, but that's the thing is because these guys are freaks of nature. Usually guys this size don't play baseball. They are in another sport. Your first sort of freak like that was Randy Johnson, who was a 6'10" pitcher.
Right.
And the big unit, and he was a monster. And the reason why he was so good was just because it was slingshot. It was a catapult. This thing was coming from so high up and just went so far down, and he could actually take such a great stride off the mound that he was pretty much at the plate just like boom.
But pitchers against these huge batters, they're like, oh my God, this strike zone is so roomy.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel so relaxing. I can pitch it left. I can pitch it right. I can do whatever.
Well, no, but this is the trick though. Like specific baseball batters have a phenomenal eye. I think it's 820. Their vision is 820 or 28 or something like that. Something that I'm trying to remember.
Whatever the good version of that number.
Okay. Because you have less than 0.4 seconds to react, especially if it's a fastball. So what they do is they actually look for tells what a pitcher does. Like if the ball's coming on the left side, like if the hand's on the left side of the ball, it's going to be a slider. If it's if you can see a red dot, it's going to be a change up. If they look for those things. They're not actually watching the ball. They're looking for what the pitcher does and their release point. And that's why sometimes guys get. Stanton got beamed in the face because he was expecting something and. The ball just went wild. So you've got a ball coming in over 100.
Yeah.
Averaging 90 and you have less than a second you have 0.4 seconds to decide if you're going to swing and then actually try and make a connection. So figuring exactly where the ball is going to dip, whatever. So that's why guys look foolish sometimes when they swing. And that's the thing is these guys are going to have a huge strike zone. So pitchers are going to exploit it. But when they connect, it's going to get crushed.
He should just hitch up his pants as high as possible. I'm going to check the rule book. I'm going to see if there's a rule as to how high your pants can go.
Yeah.
It's probably something like an inch below the navel. Yeah. It's kind of
if you want to be retired horse, retired horse racing, watcher in Palm Beach, Florida, or something.
Exactly.
Like that, yeah.
It's going to be basically like private school dresses where skirt's got to be to the knee. Mm-hmm. Baseball. 2 inches from the navel, that's where the pants have to go. I'm going to take a look into that one.
Well, private school, the Catholic school girls always roll their skirts up a little higher.
Okay, so you also told me to look into something that happened. Something that happened this week, which was Stealing Home.
Yeah.
And I checked it out. It's a great movie. Who doesn't?
How did I know you were going to go into that one? Yeah.
Who doesn't love Jodie Foster?
Totally.
Jodie Foster and Mark Harmon.
Yeah.
He's got a great run going over at NCIS, but my goodness, I started watching him St. Elsewhere and Stealing Home. It's a tearjerker. So there, I did my research.
Nice. But in terms of how it relates to baseball, as you all saw, Game 3, Kevin Pillar, got on base. Betances is on the mound. Apparently, Betances doesn't worry about people, stealing, so he took second pretty much right away. Couple of pitches, stole third, and literally stared him down while he had a lead and stole home while the pitcher was looking at him and he's looking at the pitcher. Yeah. The pitcher threw it wild because he didn't realize he was going to do that. Kevin Pillar is actually the first J to steal 3 consecutive bases, including home in an inning. It's the first time he's ever done. He's not the first one to steal home. Aaron Hill, it's happened a couple of times, but Aaron Hill was the last one. That was in 2007. But yeah, stealing home is not it's not a common occurrence because
I was completely wrong and therefore fully unprepared to talk about stealing home.
Mark Harmon is an athlete. He was a quarterback at UCLA.
This is I knew that. Correct. Who doesn't know?
He was his dreamy good looks led him into acting because he blew out his knee. But
yeah. Well, no, I did. Again, another interesting point about Mark Herman. No, but on the way over, I did actually learn my mistake, and I saw. And I did see that footage of the stealing of the home, and you just talked about how pitchers have this amazing reaction time, and he was standing there and just was looking and watching, and this is something now of course I have seen baseball games. I've been to Exhibition Stadium, and
Exhibition.
I've been there. Tony
done that.
Fernandez. Thanks the last
number 11, George Bell.
So we dung the dings. But that was so I have seen these things, and this is something I've never seen before, because generally when you see someone making an attempt for home, it's usually because the catcher also has to contend with somebody running to another base at the same time. And this was just like Pilar is just like, well, I think I'm just going to go forward a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And like, oh, what, you don't care? I'm just going to keep going. And he kept going. And I've never seen that before. And
that was actually sort of an important run too, because that was sort of a backbreaker. Yeah. We were up by 1 run, hammered that one in the 8th inning, and that just sort of down. So, I mean, that's one series. Wait till, we go to Yankee Stadium. We'll see what happens there.
By the way, I've been calling him Pilar.
Yeah, Kevin Pilar.
Pilar.
Superman.
Superlar. It's going to take a while. He's got his name on the back of his jersey.
Yeah, that's one thing. The Jays are very they're helping you out here.
But no, that was really tremendous. It makes me almost want to watch a baseball game.
You will get there.
Yeah. No, I'm actually hoping to. This is another thing that I was curious about, because again, coming from being a basketball fan, the enormous amount of money that is spent on major league payrolls, and the disparity
on some teams the complete opposite. Yeah.
And that's the thing, and the disparity between teams in terms of how much it's astonishing to me. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe. Now I'm sure there are people that can explain to me why this is good and why this is the case. Maybe you're one of those people, but to me it sounds astonishing, because I took a look, and I'm just looking at the numbers that I pulled up. You've got this year. You've got the Boston Red Sox, who are in and around $235 million. They're the top spenders at opening day.
Yeah.
Got the Oakland Athletics, who are the bottom opening day this year at 67.5.
Consistently the bottom.
Well, I saw that movie, that Brad Pitt movie, and so they're still doing that, right? Okay, so
not to the great extent that they did. Like, they're still trying to get the return on the lesser spending that they did at that point.
Well, that's insane. And then you've got for opening day, again, I was looking at that stuff. So both the Jays and the Yanks are kind of in and around the same area, both close to the top of the league, between 8th and 10th in the league, in the 160 million, which is close to sort of the mean, the mean, but still it's insane. And then I guess, and I tried to find the record of like how much a team has spent, what that record is. And I think, and I'm not sure, it could have been beaten past 2015, but the 2015 LA Dodgers.
Yeah, no, that's still
$307 million. $307 million. And they only made it to the division series. Mm-hmm. And so the best part that I love about this, and this is why I'm going to hang out for more than one podcast, is learning things like this, is that this $307 million included $87.5 million to players who were playing on other teams at that time. That's more than a lot of teams actually spend on their own team. And they were $87.5 million.
Yeah, that was the, if you remember the Billy Bean quote from Moneyball, after he got everyone in line, Brad Pitt, aka Billy Bean, goes and sees Dave Justice. Dave Justice was the big slugger that they had at that point.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, Billy, I see what you're trying to do. I get this bit, And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, but you're better than that, right? Dave Justice like, yeah, 14 million better. Yeah, but the Yankees are paying us $7 million to play against you. So that's the thing. It's like the Dodgers, we're done with those contracts. They're like, all right, we'll pay you to play against that guy because he kind of sucks now. So
it's astonishing. Do these payrolls, if there's a guy that's playing on your team and he's being paid an exorbitant amount of money by another team, does that count as a negative on your payroll? Do you get to subtract that?
I'm gonna give you a name that you're gonna look into. Bobby Bonilla.
Research.
You're gonna research that.
Research for next episode.
Research for next
what
episode.
Is this name?
Bobby Bonilla and his
Bonnie.
contract. His contract.
Bonnie
Yeah.
Bonita.
Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby.
Yeah,
I don't even know the
He
names.
actually hooked into a contract that's paying him for another 8 more years, and he hasn't played since for about 10.
Hey, it's like Luol Deng.
Yeah,
Luol, again, I'm going to bring this back to basketball as much as I can. Luol Deng, he's got a great front row seat.
oh yeah.
That's astonishing. Okay, so but that really struck me as an unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
What's up next?
Well, I mean, everyone in the baseball world is excited about Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani. I've heard of this guy. They're saying that he is Japan's Anthony Goes.
Yes. There's another likening to him because he is a pitcher and an outfielder. Some would say Babe Ruth.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, no.
I do know Anthony Goes. He's he was an outfielder and he was a pitcher
For the Jays too.
for the Jays.
Yeah.
So here comes the next coming of Anthony Goes. Okay.
No, actually, the funny thing is mentioning Babe Ruth. The last person to pitch and play in the field in an opening series was Babe Ruth. So that goes to show you how few and far between this kind of thing happens. But I mean, his numbers actually weren't that bad, but I mean, it's going to take some work.
Right.
He got roughed up in the second inning, so he ended up with a 6 ERA, which isn't good. He's only had 5 at bats, so he's hit once, so he's batting .200, which is middling. It's
Okay.
going to happen. He'll come around. It's a work in progress, but it's something to actually really be cool to look into because he's going to be playing 3 out of every 5 days. He's going to be pitching, rest day, outfield a couple of days, and then rest and then pitch. So it's kind of cool to see.
So he was like, and this is old news to those of you that are watching, I suppose, but I'm learning. But he was like super duper free agent in that he could only make a certain amount of money, and he could choose whoever he was going to.
There's a bidding process,
Yeah.
and you had to cough up a certain amount of dough even just to talk to him. So, right? So that was the same thing. Same thing with Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
And the Jays actually were. He ended up going to Texas. I hated Texas Rangers.
We don't like the Raiders.
We don't like the Rangers.
We hate the Rangers.
But yeah, the same thing happened. The same thing happens with most of the Japanese and the Korean players that come out of the league, come out of the J and the K league. They will excel there and they'll
The J and the K. Oh, Japan and Korea.
Yeah, just think
Okay.
K-pop. Yeah.
Okay.
K-pop. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Basically, if the letter starts with
Yeah.
the say also starts
Well,
the
and
name
it's-
of a country.
The Japanese league is actually called the Pacific League, but yeah, the J League. It's just known as the J League. It's like the G League.
So that they've got the G Leagues, the Guyana League.
I was gonna go with actually
It's-
the D League, the Djibouti. Yeah.
Okay, I was not okay. So, but the G League in basketball was the D League for
D League.
development, and then it became G for.
Because Gatorade's
Wait, no, it was the other way around.
It was D League and became G League.
Okay, I admit it. I don't know anything about basketball. But yeah, so this is a cool person to watch.
Yeah, and he's gonna be sort of especially when you go to specific places like Seattle, which has a huge Asian population. San Francisco has a huge Asian population. Seattle has a huge love affair with Suzuki, Ichiro Suzuki, who's returned back to Seattle, done his little playing days in New York and in Miami, and he's now sort of going to retire. But the guy's 44. I still like to keep him on my fantasy league so that there's someone that's older than me, so I can still feel like a kid.
You're running out of players.
Yeah, I totally. I had Jaromir Jagr on my hockey team this year.
Yeah.
And so I can still be like,
Oh
hey,
my
Mr.
God.
Jagr.
We've got it.
But yeah, that guy's still climbing. Like he actually pulled in a home run again this weekend.
It's amazing.
Climbed the wall, came back through. So But yeah, he's probably going to retire this year. But Ohtani going to a team like, Toronto's got a huge Asian population.
Yes.
If you, as a basketball fan, I remember how much it kind of pissed me off going to see the Knicks play, and everyone was cheering more for the Knicks because Jeremy Lin played at that
Completely
time.
changed.
Like,
it's completely changed now. Everyone's cheering. But I guess we were courting Ohtani, and then got the 4 a.m. phone call where it's like, sorry, you've been eliminated, and click, and it amazes me.
The Jays have money. A lot of people are sort of antsy with how the Jays are spending. I mean, everyone is still upset about David Price, because David Price was like, if you remember back to high school when you dated the hot girl for like 2 weeks, and then she dumped you,
right? And
then you just keep talking about how you used to date the hot girl. That's what it was like when we had David Price. David Price was the hot girl for like and it was
like so much promise.
No, he delivered in the he delivered in the regular season, but his contract was up, and we didn't offer him anything. I think people were pissed off because of the fact that we didn't even make an offer. Right. We knew that the ceiling was going to be very high. But they could have literally just said this, and no, because he was actually willing to stay.
Was he upset?
He wanted to stay, but I mean, here's a dump truck of money from the Boston Red Sox, so.
Well, why not?
Why not?
I got 3 kids to feed. I gotta keep going to Gap and Old Navy, and those
20% off coupons are only if you spend $50 or more.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I heard that during the basketball lockout, the last basketball lockout, that Ron Artest got a job at Circuit City just so he could get the employee discount.
That's awesome. All right, so let's have a quick little. We've got a little segment that we like to call the Mensch from the Bench. Let's see what's popping up. Hey, there we go.
This is fantastic. We have graphics.
Woohoo! All right, so we will have other graphics that'll pop up, but nothing really much happened this weekend in terms of we can't really give you a farm report because there's only been a couple games. Can't really give you an injury report.
Yeah.
The same guys that were injured in spring training are still injured now. We can do the Mensch from the Bench, and what the Mensch from the Bench is who we think is our best guy. That did something actually really cool, or an unsung player. But I mean, obviously, you're going to have to go Kevin Pillar. There's a strong case can be made for Justin Smoke,
right,
who continued his story last year and actually had that. He's got 8 RBIs, leading the team in RBIs. He's batting .368. Kevin Pillar is batting .375, 1 homer, and a pretty cool feat by stealing 3 bases, aka also home.
Pilar.
Okay. So Dave.
Yes.
Smoke or Pilar?
Considering that I learned nothing about Smoke this week, I'm going to go with Pilar.
All right,
Mensch from the Bench.
The foot is spoken.
All right, I'm gonna keep track. Hang on a second. Pilar 1. There you go.
Bing.
1 nothing.
1 point. Rest of the Jays 0.
All right.
But yes, usually we'll sort of focus on an unsung hero, but that's pretty cool. So we gotta focus on that.
That's amazing. So normally it's going to be unsung instead of sung.
But you never know. Like something.
He was fairly sung.
I mean, you had guys last year that came out of nowhere because everyone was so injured that you've had a lot of.
But there's too many people. There's too many. It's ridiculous.
Are we talking in the world? Like, are you a citizen of?
I am. Yes, in the midst of an existential crisis. But for the case of this, I'm actually just talking about baseball and baseball teams because there's only so much that I can learn. There's so many players on this team. There's so many pitchers. And then I got to look at people that aren't even on the team. They're in A's and triple A's, and they're in all these A's. There's so many A's. First, too many players, too many A's.
You're gonna.
I have to learn this.
There's a bunch of A's, and there's also the DR League, like Summer League. Yeah,
that's too much.
Something to check into. But you're gonna be a nerd about it, and that's
it's ridiculous. Like I thought that the minutia of basketball rules was difficult, like all these things and then it pales in comparison to the rules in baseball and the people, and it's just it takes the cake. Baseball takes the cake. Too much to learn.
Yeah, it's a good game for. The best way to put this is nerds like it, and I'm a nerd.
Right.
There's a lot of numbers, a lot of things that you can find out, and
it's
it's actually the first North American sport where you actually have like fourth generation players actually playing now, because it's been around for that long. There's great grandkids that are now involved in the game.
Look, I've seen a league of our own. I've seen if you build it, and I know it's been going on for a long time.
and Pitch Perfect too.
Yes. So, because that is the evidence that I have that this has been a long and storied game. Yes.
No. Right now the Jays are playing Chicago White Sox. Let's actually have a quick little look at the score. Let's have a check-in.
I think while he's checking in, I should say that you've called me over to this podcast while the Raptors are playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. And for that, I should blow you out of the stars.
Third inning, Cavs are up by 8 halftime.
Oh my God.
Okay. But yeah, we've got another game tomorrow with the White Sox. We'll return next week at 7:00. Hopefully 7:00 sharp.
Working on it.
And we'll have a little more stuff to sort of to say about about Dave will do a little bit more homework.
Yeah.
And it'll be good.
Well, tune in next week where we're going to have our farm report and our Wake Up Jeff segment. And I will return with the what did Dave learn this week segment, which I'm hoping is going to have graphics like the bench for the bench.
We are also
really surprised.
In the works for a beer sponsor as well. We have one almost on board. We will mention who that is once they start supplying us with beer and swag.
But for today, we'd like to thank today's sponsor, which is Nothing at All.
Yeah.
Nothing at All. We're working on it. But for our unpaid sponsor, we'd very much like to thank Stage 10. This Stage 10 is the broadcast platform that we're using to bring this lovely podcast to live. And if you check it out, it's a browser-based system. Just go to stage10.tv. And these are just fantastic people, and we've gotten a lot of assistance. And this is an exciting new platform, bringing some video, some audio. We're having a lot of fun messing around with it. And then we'd also just like to give a thanks to the maestro of the potentiometers, Andrew Sims, for helping us out for our debut podcast for this season.
If you go to stage10.tv, you can sign up in an account, and you can actually come on the air and yell at us, praise us. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Discuss, argue. We like that. It'll be a call-in show in the future, so we would love to hear from you.
Messing around.
An argument is always good. Yeah. Anyway, I guess that'll be it for this week. We'll see you next week at 2. That's right, at 7.
Thanks very much. I'm your interim co-host, Dave Bronfman, and
I'm Greg Howard. Yeah, nice. Cool.
Yeah.